Hello, 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 and welcome to another Sniff How from the PDH Pals Deck Tech. And I've got a spicy one today. This is Nebuchadnezzar, or as I like to call him, Nebuchad. This is one of my favorite decks, and it's a very unique deck. But first, before we talk about it, let's just look at that art. This was given to us by our good and loyal viewer, Alcadron. He's an official pal by this point. You should know him. We talk about him all the time. He's in chat if you're watching live all the time. But he loved this card, I guess, 2 decades ago as well. And I love this card now, so he just let us use it because I have a deck for it. But anyway, let's get on to him. He is 3 colorless, a blue and a black, and he's a 3/3 creature. But you can pay X and tap it, name a card, they reveal X cards from their hand, and if you name the correct card, that card's gone. They have to discard it. It's pretty unique because obviously you could just run a straight good discard deck and that'd be cool, but I don't want to do that. I just want to get rid of the problem cards. I have a big problem. I don't have a problem, but I hate losing to cards like War Report, Congregate, Pestilence, Peregrine Drake, I guess, to an extent. So he's a good countermeasure to that. You just tap him, call their card, they have to do something about it, and if they don't, they're getting rid of it. And he's very good at it. But he's kind of weird. I mean, you're looking at him, he's 5 mana, 3/3, and you have to pay more mana to tap him. Like, it's not the best. You're kind of up a creek. But if he sticks on the board and you have plenty of ways to untap him every time, like you're nuking their hand, man. And it's cool because they reveal their hand, so that way I have a sixth sense about these things. Like I know if someone's holding a good card, and he makes it so they reveal their hand and they have to show the good card. So he's good at getting the whole board on the same table. But it's pay X to do it. Like if they have like 7 cards in the hand, you have to pay 7 to get the name, get the right card. Otherwise, you can pay like, here, I'll pay 1, and I'll just name like, a problem card like War Report. They have to take their 7 cards they have in their hand and shuffle them up, randomly pick one, and if that's the right card, they have to discard it. So it's not that good in that regard, but we got ways to make it better. We got plenty of ramp, so you can always hit the right card amount you want. And let's say they also have a huge hand of 7 cards. This card's unique because you can name forest, island, swamp, plains. You can name that, and if they have 4 or 5 of those in their hand, go and bye-bye, which is a pretty big deal in some decks. Doesn't happen too often, but it is relevant. Let's go ahead and get into paying for that X. We got some ramp. Exploroscope. Kind of cool ramp card. Not the best, not the worst. You equip it on a creature. When they attack, you get that land off the top of your deck onto the battlefield tapped. I'm liking this card more and more because I have a big problem with having too many lands on top of my deck. And this is good at getting rid of them. Wayfarers, it's another ramp. You get it out early enough, it's huge swing of tempo in your favor. Good card, it's cheap too. Mindstone, another great one. This one sacks later in the game to draw a card. I mean, it's probably been talked about in all our deck tech so far. It's a great card. Should be in almost every deck. Very powerful. Samir Signet for getting the colors right, because he is 2 colors. He's not the hybrid colors either, so you gotta work with what you got. And this is good at get that. Star Compass, same deal. This one's a little worse because it's tapped, but and it's only basic land also. This deck probably should be running Arcane Signet, but it's not because I don't have many of those, and I probably should just do an order for him sometime. Get him. Mist Vein. This one's cool. I like it. I'm never really too sad to see it. If you get this turn 1, it's good. It helps you get your mana right. I mean, I like it. It's a cool card. These usually only die if people want to be an asshole and blow them up with, artifact destruction spells, but it doesn't happen too often, and it's just decent ramp for late game. Pristine Talisman. This is a foreign version of it for some reason, but you tap it and you gain 1 life and a colorless mana. Great card, especially good in blue-black where you don't have, or blue at least, you don't have too much life gain. And this deck doesn't run too much life gain either, so it's just standard good. Roscarel, another great one. This deck is very easy to get the City's Blessing with, as you'll see later on. And so you're always going to have the City's Blessing. You're always going to sack it, draw life, or shit. Sorry. gain life and draw a card. Sorry about that. Let's get on to some of the other good ones. Commander Sphere is the best one. This one's the next one. And Demir Locket. They're all very good cards. They all do the same thing. They all tap for mana of your commander's identity, and you can sack them and draw a card later in the game, which is always happens. It's always relevant. It's always good stuff. They all do the same stuff. Sisei's Ring. This one's good. I probably should be running Urgolm's Eye as well, but I have elected not to, which is Sisei's. Cool. It's good. It's good at getting a lot of mana quick. And like we've talked about, Nebu needs his mana, man. You wanna get the mana flowing. Great at doing that. Scare Tiller, my boy, my hero, my king, my common Crucible of Worlds. Yes, you read that right. You heard that right. When he comes tapped, you get a land from your hand or from your graveyard on the battlefield tapped. I have a lot of lands that do that, so it is easy to get him going. And also, if you have a good draw engine too, he pays for himself. Great card. So that's the ramp of the deck. How do you the big thing is, like, even if you don't know what's going on with him, how do you know what's in their hand? How can you accurately guess what they're gonna ruin the game with? We have plenty of ways in this deck to make sure we're always gonna call the right card. And one of the main reasons I built this deck, Glasses of Urza. I love this card so much. This card is run in Barb Shocker, Adrix's deck. But like, I saw it and I was like, there has to be another deck that can use this. And then I saw my king, Nebuchadnezzar. And it's just perfect, man. Like, because you can just look at anyone's hand whenever you want. I love this card so much. And it's just such a great combo with him. But this is the best one in the deck. This is the one you use Trinket Mage to search for, which we'll talk about later. 1 mana. Yeah, it's great. It's a great card. You see it, I see it, and I'll be seeing it all right. But let's say you don't have glasses. We've got other ways to do it. Spy Network. This is a unique one. Instant speed also, which I like. Look at target's player's hand, the top of their library, and any face-down creatures they control. And then you look at the top 4 cards of your library and put them back in entity order. That's pretty good. You know, the more I think about this, the more you should probably put this in more blue decks, man. Rearranging your top 4 draws is very good. Looking at someone else's hand is very good. Looking at what they have coming up is also good. And the morph one isn't relevant, but I mean, I guess it could be relevant in some games if you're up against 5-color morph, but it doesn't happen too often. Card's great though. Same thing. All these cards I'm going to show you do exactly what they need to. Taxing Probe. This one is free. This is a straight up pay 2 life. Look at someone's hand and draw a card. Taxing Probe is great. It's the reason it's banned in almost every single format. Card is way too good, but here we are. A little less good in PDH, but all right. Clairvoyance, instant speed. Look at their hand, and then you draw a card next turn or next upkeep. Good card, pays for itself pretty much. Sorcerer's Sight. Sorry. Look at their hand. This is Sorcerer Speed, and you instantly draw a card. It's just a worse version of Peak. Peak is the instant speed version. I mean, they're usually not going to be casting instant speed unless you're trying to remember something for next turn, or not react. Disciple of Phoenix. I am very upset that this is not a wizard, because I forgot to mention earlier, but Nebuchad is a wizard, so this deck is wizard tribal, which we'll get into at the end because I have a lot of wizards to show you. I'm eager to show you. But this one's pretty cool, pretty unique. Disciple of Phoenix, 4 mana, 1/3. When it enters battlefield, equal to your devotion, they reveal that many cards from their hand. Devotion to black, sorry. So they automatically are going to reveal 2 cards from their hand, and you can just pick one of them, they discard it. This card's pretty damn good with Flicker because they are going to lose their hand real quick with it. And it's even better with him. Let's say they have, 3 cards in hand. They reveal 3 of them. I get rid of 1 of them. And then you just pay 2. They have 2 cards in hand now. And just get rid of the other one. They're down to 1 card for that. I think it's a great tempo swing. I really wish it was a wizard, but it's not. But here we are. It's a good card. I think it pays for itself in the deck. You're probably wondering, so we run all these cards to look at their hand. But this is a multiplayer format. How are you supposed to remember 3 different people's hands and be looking at yours the whole time too? The problem with this is there isn't an easy answer. You just have to really focus on the problem cards that are hand. And like, I mean, I guess you could write it down if you want. You want to be cheeky. But I kind of just go on memory alone. I have a pretty decent memory. I'm usually good at remembering whose cards are in what hand. So I don't really have too many problems with it. For the most part, you know you're going to be focusing on 1 or 2 people. So if you're looking at everyone's hand every single turn, you're going to confuse yourself. So you really just want to look at the one person's hand who you know is a problem. And there are a lot of them. A lot of decks that have that problem, I guess, that they run powerful cards. I mean, every deck does, but sometimes you don't want them to have it. And that's why this deck is built. Let's say you want to get really cheeky and do him multiple times a turn and just really nuke their hand of stuff, man. We have some ways to do that. Cerulean Wisps. Target creature comes blue. That part's irrelevant, but also untaps creature. It's a 1 mana cantrip, draw, untap your general. Huge swing, great card, pays for itself, and gives you another nuke. And it's also instant speed too, so you can just do it on someone else's creature, combat trick kind of thing. I like it, huge fan of it. Probably the best one in this deck, Dramatic Reversal. As you saw earlier, there are a lot of artifacts in this deck. So untapping all of that is a huge swing of mana for you. Untapping your creatures is really good, and untapping Nebuchadnezzar and getting another activation from him is really good as well. The only problem with this card is the flavor text, and that is a damn shame. Freed from the Real is another very good card. Having this on him sort of means everyone's going to be empty-handed eventually. So you kind of, how are you can put this on him and just start nuking everybody's hands, but like, you're in trouble after that. Like, what are they going to do? They're going to have to kill him. They're going to have to deal with this Nebuchadnezzar as soon as possible. If Free from the Real is equipped to him, obviously. So to make this happen, so you want to keep this going, we got some protection spells to help him out. Narok Stealth Suit. Card is great. Instant speed, equipped if you want to do that. Otherwise, just equip 1, protect. Good stuff right there, man. Not bad at all. Blessing of Leeches. This is another pretty damn good one. It just gives him permanent regeneration. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose a life, which really sucks. If the game goes like 10 turns. But it's usually not going to be a problem. 1 life is okay. Especially if you just want to keep him up as a blocker. And then just regenerate, keep him alive that way. But this card's cool. Permanent regeneration is nasty stuff. If you don't want to go that route, though, we have some counter spells. Confound. Counter target spell that targets 1 or more creatures. I'm a huge fan of this card because it stops flicker combo. It stops like aura pumping stuff. And it just stops like kill spells. And it draws a card too. I kind of think Confound should be in more decks. But I guess it hasn't really hit the wave yet. Hit the PDH meta yet. But it'll get there. Good card. Great art too. Did I know that would betray me? I was counting on it. I love Urza. Counterspell, another great one. Just pretty self-explanatory. Lost in the Mist. This one is really good with Nebuchadnezzar. Counter their spell, bounce one of their permanents, then back on your turn, do it again, or get rid of it permanently. I guess I forgot to mention because there's much text on it. This is only sorcery speed, which is a kind of a downer, but I mean it's okay. It's not the end of the world. We got a little more protection spells, not too much. Stream of Unconsciousness. This is a wizard as well, which is awesome. Tribal Instant Wizard. Target creature gets -4/-0 until end of turn. If you control a wizard, draw a card. Great card. Good if you want to, I guess it's not a protection spell, but it helps your life total, which is cool. And yes, this deck does run Displace and Ghostly Flicker. 2 very powerful cards. And I have plenty of wizards to abuse them, so don't you worry. I'm not a straight casual with this deck. There are very good combos to Flicker in this deck. As we kind of talked about earlier, Flickering Disciple, the Disciple card, wherever it went, Disciple of Phoenix, Every turn is pretty good. Like, they're going to be empty-handed, and it's going to hurt. Good stuff. So let's just go ahead and jump into the good cards of the deck. You know, some good value cards. Trespasser's Curse. Love this card. Huge fan of it. Great against Flicker. It's great against Go Wide. It's great against, you know, great against everything, man. This card's so good. Throw it onto one of the Kamigawa end of the battlefield decks. They're going to have a bad time. Drift of Phantasms. Card is great because it searches for the Flicker combo, or if you're feeling really cheeky, searches for Free from the Real. This is awesome. I love that. Where'd it go? Into the Royal and Blink of an Eye. Pretty much the exact same card, but they're both very good. The only difference is it doesn't have flavor text, but it's okay. But they both serve the same purpose. Bounce a permanent. Good for him. Get it out of their hand. Bounce it, draw a card, get it out of their hand. Get it into the graveyard where it belongs. Very good cards. Winds Rebuke. Same basic premise. Get it off the field, under their hand. Everyone mills. That part isn't really that relevant. But Winds Rebuke is just a good card to run. I'm a huge fan of it. Uncomfortable Chill. Another. This one's a mass -2/0. They all get it. And you draw a card. Huge card if for like combat tricks on someone else's turn too. Like if, let's say someone else swings out, you could just cast this to save somebody. Cast it to, I mean, help yourself. Obviously, that's I use it for the most. Let's say someone's swinging at you an army of 1-0s. There you go. You're good to go. And it draws a card too. Like this card's huge. And one of my favorite blue cards of all time, Curfew. But I'm not tired. So I choose a creature he controls and bounce it to their hand. The card is so good, man. I love it so much. And, you know, I got some Grave Hate. Relic of Progenitus. Great card. Should be in almost every deck, to be honest. Because sometimes you'll just run into a straight up grave deck and you're in trouble. But this is good at dealing with it. And you can search for it with Trinket Mage, which is also huge. I got some draw too. Let's get into that. Mental Discipline. It's a very slow draw. Very cycly draw. Very looting, dare I say. I guess this is rummaging, isn't it? But that's okay, because I always have lands in my hand. Always. I'm very good at top decking lands, and I'm very good with this at getting rid of them and drawing good cards. I think I've activated this once like 5 times in a turn, and it was a land every time, and I got very butthurt. I think I might have scooped. Can't remember, but it's a good card for late game. I mean, decent for early game too, if you want. Not a bad card. I like it. I'm a huge fan of it. I kind of want to put it in more of my decks. Notion Rain, probably one of the better draw cards in the game. Surveil 2, then draw 2. Does 2 damage to you. It's so good, man. We also got the regular mono black version of it. Got this one Scries instead of Surveils. Read the Bones. Great card. Scry 2, draw 2, lose 2. The life total does end up hurting in this deck. I probably should put some kind of more life gain in here now that I'm looking at it, but it is what it is. It's a good card. Let's get some more draw. This is just a standard 3 mana, ascend, draw 3. That's pretty good stuff right there. There's nothing wrong with that at all, because you're always going to have ascend, I feel like. You know, what's better than that, though, is a 1 mana draw 3. Treasure Cruise. We all know about Treasure Cruise. It's banned in almost every format. For good reason. This card's nuts. I don't know what they were thinking when they printed it. But we have it now, and that's alright. Life in Mind. Another one of the better draw spells, especially in a multiplayer game. Everyone discards a card, which is another bonus for Nebu, because they have 1 less card in their hand. And then you just draw 3. Seems good to me. Let's get even cheekier, though. Rush of Knowledge. I love this card. Nice 5 mana, in this case. Draw 5. I used to run Scornful Egotist for the combo. Rush of Knowledge and Scornful Egotist to draw 8. But I took it out because it's not that good. Scornful Egotist does nothing when you need him to do something, and PDH. Now we got all these out of the way. Let's get into some nice cards. Let's get into the wizards of the deck. We're going to start with my favorite one. Stony Brook Banneret. 2 mana, 1/1 Island Walk. Merfolks and wizards cost 1 less to play. I think there is 1 non-wizard in this deck, or 2, the Scared Tiller and the Disciple of Phoenix we saw earlier. So all your creatures are getting reduction is huge. Island Walk is relevant sometimes. I think it was relevant in 1 game. It might have ended up killing somebody, I'm not too sure. But, I mean, it's just a good ability to have. Kumbaj, which is... This is a pretty sweet card. Especially good with Disciple. It's just 2 straight devotion. It's a 1/3. So I tap it to do 1 damage to something. I choose an opponent, and they can do 1 damage to something as well. Normally what this is used for is for killing 1 butts, or if you work with an opponent, killing 2 butts. But I mean, late game you can also do damage to players. It's relevant. Sweet card. Vidalcan Aether Mage. This one's great because it's wizard cycling. Go ahead and get any wizard in your deck. And there are a lot, you will see. So this one's great because it's most situational, get whatever you need at that time. You get Oracle, he's probably one of my favorite wizards. When he has battlefield, look at the top 2 of your library, put 1 in your hand, another on the bottom. Sometimes you'll get screwed and you want both cards, but for the most part, I'm putting a land on the bottom and a good card on top. Good card in my hand instead. Trinket Mage. Trinket Mage is sweet in this deck because there are plenty of targets for it. We got Glass of Urza, Relic, Exploroscope, Wayfarers. That's 4 targets is pretty good for Trinket Mage. I probably should run the Artifact Land just to make them even better. But I haven't really felt the need. I got enough land drops, it's fine. He's a wizard. He's in the deck. Aether Adept. Probably one of the better wizards because you could just flicker it, bounce a creature. Nebuchadnezzar that creature away. Sweet deck. Sweet combo. Those are the pretty standard good. Oh, here, let's get into these ones. Salvador Secrets and Archaeomancer. Same thing. They get a instant or sorcery back from the graveyard. Usually it's flicker combo, but you can get some other cheeky ones like Peek. Look at their hand again. I'm a huge fan of it. They're both great. They're both wizards. They're for themselves. We got that. Let's go look at some creatures that look at their opponent's hands. Not the best, but when it's enters the battlefield, look at the target opponent's hand. Sweet card. And this one is pretty bad. So you gotta morph it. So 3 mana to morph it. Oh yeah, look at these sleeves, by the way. I forgot to bring them up. These are so badass. Huge fan of them. But you morph it for 3, and then you can reveal a blue card from your hand. Then you flip it up to 0/6, which is why it's in the deck. And look at someone's hand. So we have altogether 7 or 8 ways to look at someone's hand. So if you don't have any of them, you've got to rely on your knowledge of the format, your knowledge of opponent's decks and whatnot. But we have plenty of ways to get around it otherwise. This is probably the worst one in the deck. I like it because it's a 0/6 defender, or pretty much a defender, but it's not the best for sure. All right, we got those. Let's get some untappers. Rhymewind Task Mage and Stony Brook Angler. Rhymewind is good because I have my deck built. They're all snow covered. So he's always going to be relevant, or active, I should say. And tap or untap target permanent. You can tap Nebu. You can untap Nebu. You can tap someone's big creature like a Vaccinator, a Eldrazi Devastator, or Ulamog's Crusher. Tap them down so they don't swing at you. Or you just untap Nebu. That's fine. Same thing with Angler. He's just 1 more mana to activate. They're both wizards, in case you haven't noticed. We got some more cheeky ones too. Let's get into Descendant of Soromaru and Information Dealer. Descendant is pay 1 colorless and a blue. Look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of cards in your hand. So if I have 5 cards in hand, you can just rearrange the top 5 of your library. Like, that's pretty good. If you just do that every turn, like, you're just going off to the races, man. Always getting the card you need on top of your deck. Information Dealer, kind of the same thing, except he counts for wizards in play. So he's always going to be 1 because he's a wizard too. So you always look at the top card of your library and just, you can't scry it to the bottom, but just looking at it's good. Changes your, I guess, your turns. And I have like 20 something wizards in the deck, so normally he'll always be like 2 or 3, I'd say. Unless you're getting like wrecked by Pestilence, but we have ways to bounce it and get rid of it. But I kind of like these cards. Kind of like them a lot in this deck. There's no real wizard payoffs, but like they're good for what they do. So if you've noticed, these wizards are pretty weak. There aren't many strong ones. So let's get into the beat down ones of this deck. Spellweaver Duo. Assist. So it's a 6 colorless and 1 blue. Someone can assist you for 6 mana. And when you enter the battlefield, return target tapped creature to its opponent's hand, to its owner's hand. And he's a 4/4, which is huge actually, especially for wizards. Probably the biggest wizard I know of in common. He's pretty good. You can usually help someone to pay assist for you. And the only problem with him is it's tapped creature. Like if this could be any creature, it'd be so much better. But alright, it's not bad. I like the art on it a lot too. I really hope they make another battle bond and bring some more assist cards back because they're all sweet. Aven Windreader. This is a 5-mana 3/3 flyer. And the second ability is not too relevant, but I kind of like it. Target player reveals the top card of their library. It's cool for like a turn in advance. You're trying to remember. So you got to remember their hand and what's going to be on top of their deck. But it's cool because it reveals it to everybody. So everyone knows that, hey, this guy's drawing another land for turn. Hey, he's drawing a war report for turn. Hey, he's drawing Congregate. You know, stuff like that. Pondering Mage. Probably one of the best wizards in the deck. 5-mana Brainstorm. And it's a 3/4 body. That's just incredible. I'm a huge fan of this card. It should be in every blue deck, I think. It just hasn't really taken hold yet. Because this, for the most part, PH Pals don't like blue too much. But like blue can be beat down like this, man. Like that's good stuff right there. 3/4. Storm Sculptor. This is a 4-mana 3/2. Can't be blocked. When it enters the battlefield, bounce a creature you control. There are a lot of creatures I don't mind bouncing. Like, let's say, okay, I'll bounce an Aether Adept back to my hand. I'll bounce a Trinket Mage back to my hand. I'll bounce Seagate. So, like, that part's not a problem at all. But he is unblockable, so that's why he's in the deck. And he's pretty good, I think. Unblockable is always good because it's just good for getting Monarch. Speaking of which, this deck does not have any Monarch in it because you don't want your opponents to have it. But if it's in the game, go get that sucker. But even those last beatdown cards you saw were kind of weak. So we have a way to make them better. Sunken City. Oh yeah. All blue creatures get +1/+1. If you don't pay blue in your upkeep, it gets destroyed. This card is so sweet, man. As you saw, there's only one black wizard in the deck and his Kumbaj Witch. But for the most part, they're all beat down wizards now, if you got Sunken City out there. Not the best backup plan, but it's a plan to get the game ending. And I mean, it also helps Nebu, so... I like it. It's funny. I like when there's like 2 or 3 of them out on the battlefield and the game is just a mess. But that's about it. We gotta go into the lands now. So let's jump right in. Evolving Wilds, Terramorphic Expanse. Very good with Scare Tiller. That's why they're in the deck. Really don't need to say too much. They're good for getting the land you need that turn, or for next turn. And I don't know. They're good. Especially with Scare Tiller doing it multiple times a turn, because you need as much mana as possible. Opal Palace. Let's say he does end up dying a couple times. He's good. Cast him late game. Turns into like a 6/6, 7/7. Then you go real beat down with him. Opal Palace is a good card. Should be in more decks. Or every deck, to be honest. Lonely Sandbar. Desert of the Mindful. Some Cycle Lands. This deck is a lot more leaning on blue, if you haven't noticed. So I only run the blue Cycle Lands. Don't really need to run the colorless ones. But these are both sweet. Command Tower, go ahead and get whatever color you need. Best dual color lands deck are in the format. Bojuka Bog, another great one. Exile someone's graveyard. Like, I mean, that's just good. Making them discard a card, then exile in the graveyard after, like, get out. Nasty stuff. And let's go into Dimir Aqueduct. Another great one. Bounce the land back. Bounce that Bojuka Bog back again. And it's, you know, the dual land. And the rest of the dual lands are here. Dismal Backwater. Merge Boneyard. Dimir Guildgate. All very good. Especially for Dimir. They're all staples, obviously. There you go. And after that, this deck runs 8 snow-covered mountains and 15 snow-covered islands. So I think it's a decent amount of lands for the deck. I don't like to go overboard on lands because I have a nasty problem of drawing all of them in a row every single game. But anyway, it's a pretty unique deck. I like it. Obviously, it's not like the most competitive deck there is in this house. There's a lot of cool little synergies in it. But for the most part, this deck is hard to play with and hard to play against because like it's stressful, man. Your hand can get ripped apart in a second. But it's stressful for the person playing because you have to remember a lot of cards. You have to remember a lot of decks, what your opponent's playing, what they can draw, what they have in their hand already. But I'm a huge fan of this deck. I love it. I'm waiting patiently for every set to make it better because I just want more wizards. I want a nice wizard tribal beatdown. Nice pump spell in common. If that'll ever happen, wizards, please. Please, wizards. All right, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.